welcome to the third virtual CIO Conclave and Awards being organized by Elets Technomedia. I welcome all the esteemed panelists to a discussion on reimagining and redefining manufacturing landscape. Joining us today, we have Ms. Charu Bhargava, Vice President, Information Technology, Sheela Foam Limited. Welcome, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Karima.
Pleasure, ma'am. Mr. Sameep Mutha, Vice President and Group Head, Digital and Innovation, RPG Group. Welcome, sir.
Thanks, Garima. Look forward to our discussion.
Thank you. And Mr. Abhishek Chakrabarti, Chief Digital and IT Officer, Vedanta Limited. Welcome, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So looking forward to an engaging discussion. And so we'll straight away head into it. I'll begin from Mr. Sameep. Substantial technological penetration is now in every industry. How has it transformed the manufacturing industry over the years? If you could share your thoughts on this. Sir, you're on mute. If you could unmute yourself.
Yep, sorry. No, I was saying that the impact has been substantial, but I'll just take a couple of steps back. If you look at manufacturing industry, typically has undergone an impact in terms of whether it was an ISO 9001 to Six Sigma to world-class manufacturing to TPM. So they're not like new frameworks, right? But what is different in digital is this time the impact is changing the way that we've been doing business. So it has been, whether ISO 6 Sigma, all the traditional framework has been towards the incremental efficiency. And the incremental efficiency could be of a high magnitude. Like a 6 Sigma took us to really closer to like a 3.2 parts per million concept came that time. But now what's happening is the way you do business has been completely changing. A process can get eliminated, not improved. And that is a big impact on the digital, which I see that whether it is people-related issues, whether there are safety-related issues, whether high fatigue-related job, whether complex job, whether unseen data, like till before digital, the operator was like a god, right? In terms of a very good things, like because he knew the machine in and out. He would be working for it for 25 years. He would know exactly what's wrong, what's not. But there is a lot of hidden data which was even sitting on the PLCs, which cannot be captured, is now possible to capture. And that has changed the game completely for manufacturing because of this onset of analytics, onset of AR/VR, onset of numerous digital technology. So it is not just about improvement and incremental changes, but it is about drastic change in the way that we're doing business, not in the process, but also before and after. And what I mean is that the product itself, for example, the end product is becoming much more smarter. Now that opens up the additional business lines and the revenue lines for the industry. When your product goes from saying that I'm doing a capex based selling a product, post-sale, when the product is intelligent, it gives you different alerts and signals so that you can actually get into the service business, which was traditionally for many industrial products, very fragmented service. You buy from somebody, but eventually after warranty, you fix it, some local technicians or smaller vendors, right? But now OEMs are getting into that place saying, look, it's my product. I will sell it. I will monitor it. I will help you increase its lifetime by giving you certain signals and what needs to be done time to time. And when it comes to part replacement, when it comes to maintenance, I will still come back to you and do that business. So it is not just the process part of it, but the product itself is undergoing change. And because the product is undergoing change, the business is changing. Because your traditional sales guys who were selling this high capex one-time sale product now need to look at the service side of it. Now to look at the pay-per-go as a model, right? So that changes the entire business model and becomes much more challenging. So what happens in the shade of a manufacturing? Of course, as I said, the impact has been more from a people's safety point of view, efficiency point of view, high fatigue is going away. So I think the human life and the value will get to the next level. I think we would not be required to do in another maybe 3 to 5 years time any job which is an unsafe. I think safety would become so paramount and so critical. While it was always critical, but it will become possible, right? Every unsafe job will get replaced by a bot or a robotics, right? Which is a good thing. Similarly, every high fatigue job, okay, which will go away from humans doing it. So which are good signs. So our human life will get to the next level, but because of the change in the product, the business also will completely change.
Thank you. That's a wonderful context setting to discussion. I'll open this question to Mr. Abhishek and Ms. Charu also. And to Mr. Abhishek, if you could share your thoughts on this, please.
Yeah. So as Mr. Sameep rightly said, the use of the technology in manufacturing is not a new. It was the technological advancements and the developments of the new ideas that started of the first industrial revolution time, right? So in the 70s and 80s, we observed a revolutions of way of the productivity improvements in the manufacturing, new technologies, including as mentioned, that PCs, the numerical controls, the PLCs, the CAD, the CAMs, those are been introduced on that time, right? On that time, there is also a few concept was also introduced. It's just like a TQM, just in time, Six Sigma. So these two, as a combination, gives the total change in the manufacturing scenario. That gives a huge efficiency that has been improved due to these two synchronizations. So smart manufacturing is an initiative to bring about a revolution in the manufacturing business strategy, and the turning the traditional factories from your normal cost center into the profitable innovation center, right? So this integration of the industrial automation, the IoT, the IT, includes the cloud services, the new 3D models, mobile computing. Those will give a very good work as a lever. So manufacturers have always wanted to ensure every product is perfect. Okay, and this apparently impossible task, but now it is possible. It is possible with the introduction of those levers. And now adding to this, with the increased implementation of the artificial intelligence and in the production line, and it is now much easier for the business to spot the areas of improvement, right? Whether it is the terms of the efficiency, you can say in the terms of productivity or the reducing your error rates. So with the IoT technology, machines can seamlessly talk to each other and react to any problems that arise. If a machine spots an issue, it can quickly give the alert to the nearest other interface machine or the operator or anyone, so that then and there the action can be initiated and can be the production and all those can be saved. That will give you a much improved version of the technology, right? Now, with this, I just want to mention a few things that however there is improvement, but there is a challenges also in the journey. The people are working on those things for a long time, but there are few areas where the improvements are still required. Some technology are actually very costly. All the people, all the industry is not able to cope up with this type of the technology. Secondly, that sometimes works as a black box. So in future, in case of any modification, any alteration, then they are actually depend on the experts. And thirdly, that the new workforce skills will be required for the smart factory. The workers will need to learn how to configure and maintain the smart machines and robots. The IT person will need to learn about the manufacturing systems, protocols for equipment integrations, and how the manufacturing data flows into the business intelligence and corporate. So those are limited nowadays on a very few people, you can say. So we are implementing, but we are implementing through some experts. So that is the area that is there which needs some improvement. So to accelerate the progress on the smart manufacturing revolution, the organization can work towards these areas to get the more benefit out of this. So that's all from my side.
Right. Thank you, sir. Ms. Charu, if you could also, share your opening views on this question.
So thank you, Garima. And to begin with, I would just say change is inevitable and it is the essence of life. And so in industry also, revolution has been taking place over the centuries. And if to start with, if you really look at industry 1.0, which started with steam power and mechanization of production, then came electricity and assembly line concept. And then, as already mentioned by Abhishek ji, that industry 3.0 revolution started with bringing in partial automation, which actually used memory programmable and controls with computers coming into play, where automation became the essence and came robots. So industry from centuries have been going through revolution, and so happens it today. And now we have been talking over years, I would say years altogether, on industry 4.0, the era of digitalization. There the keyword has always been networking and communication. So came smart factories in which production system, components, people communication via network played an important role. We also talked more about big data, IoT, blockchain, quantum computing, cloud computing, edge computing, and they became the buzzword. So if you really look at centuries, then to decades, and then to years, we have been evolving. Technology has been penetrating across verticals. Now when we talk of things like and technology buzzwords like IoT, big data, then it is not just manufacturing. It talks of everywhere where technology has penetrated, and in the way, because manufacturing is not just the production house on the shop floor. It actually collects and talks about all technological, I would say, steps and enablements in all verticals. Now today we have started talking about industry 5.0, where we talk of area of personalization. Here the approach is more collaborative, and what I think today industry revolution or industry technology penetration in the industry and also in the manufacturing is talking more about industry 5.0, where we are talking about that the approach is collaborative between human and robots. We need to leverage technology and be more responsive to human needs. This is AI simulating human intelligence per se. Even the growing demand of customization and personalization in every field, which actually involves human more and brings closer to manufacturing, is the era. If we really think of it and see where the technology is leading us, it's more about merging human creativity and craftsmanship with speed, productivity, consistency that technology has provided us. So this is from my side on how technology is penetrating across industry.
Very, very pertinent thoughts, ma'am. Thank you so much. Moving on, I'd like to know from Mr. Samip, that the adoption of more sustainable and environmentally responsible practices is probably one of the most important targets in the manufacturing ecosystem. Now, how can the industry get there in the most effective and swiftest way possible?
So I think the biggest thing which is required here and which is happening to some extent is first of all an awareness. I think which individually, whether we are working at a factory or working in a corporate today, there is a lot of awareness about importance of the environmental ESG. Now, to make it happen, and I'm just talking about the cross section of digital and environment also, because that's the technology view that we are taking here. And I think at RPG our effort is always, and we say that look, it is not one person's job, it is not a CDO job. Okay, while I'm playing that role, but it's more of a custodian of digital technology. But it is only possible to do it at scale when we say that every RPGN is a mini CDO. And in that attempt, in fact, what we did, in fact, last week we just concluded our internal digital Premier League. So it was in the format of an IPL where our 2,500 people went through digital courses. And eventually we had one team of 6 people who were announced as champion. They had to present one digital application in their own area function. It was in-house built coursework. It was very exhaustive, went on for 5 months, 5 to 6 months. Now, the idea there is not saying just to reach out to people. The idea is there that beyond team digital and people who understand technology, how many more people can think of digital and its application in their own areas. And when we saw this year, because of this effort, we have our innovation festival, which was concluded just 2 days back. Our winner of that idea of the entire innovation festival was the project entry, which is going to help us save 100 tons of tire from recycling. It will get back. Now, these ideas have come from our own people. Now, it is only possible when you create platforms. So I think the biggest thing organization needs to do is give platform to people, make people aware, and give them the understanding of technology, and the miracle will happen automatically. The ideas will come from people. So you need to first create the awareness. Second, take the entire digital knowledge, education across the employees. And third important is create the platform where they can showcase what they've done. Now, the showcase platform helps people not just to take pride in coming and showcasing what they've done, but at least for a group like us, which is so diversified businesses, distributed locations, it helps from borrow from each other. Something which has happened in one location, one plant, or within a plant at a particular sale or an operation, then gets wider view and many more people can learn from it and implement it as well. So I think these 3 things, if we take care of, the people are in India, I think we are self-aware. That way people understand why it is important. As long as you educate them and give them a platform, things will move.
Very, very interesting, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Any of the other 2 panelists would like to share their thoughts? Anything that they would like to add? Mr. Chakravarti, Ms. Bhargav,
Yeah,
anything
a
you want to add?
small addition. What actually Samit said is absolutely perfect, absolutely correct. That you have to enable the people so that they can contribute something. That is the main thing that should be in the mind. The management is already actually understands the importance of these digitalization and digitalization. But the thing is that one has to understand to work with. You have to make your people enable, and you have to give the motivation level also up. So that is the two things that I want to mention. Similarly, we are also actually doing numbers of competitions throughout the year, so that people will get motivated, and we are also giving some good recognition to our chairman, to our CEOs and all, so that people will understand the importance of this. Because previously, I said in the previous discussion that yes, earlier that the operators are the god, but now the data are actually the everything. From the data, you can do everything. So you have to understand the data. And for that, you need some expertise. You have to do and go through some good courses so that you understand how this data trends is actually works. So absolutely right that you have to enable the people.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right. Thank you, sir. So,
So,
we yes, ma'am. Please go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. So I would just like to add one more thing. So when we are talking of sustainability and environment responsive practices, so any practices starts from the design stage. So when you are designing anything, you have to be careful and caution about what you want it to happen after X number of years. Because if we are talking of sustainability today or environment friendly and sustainable and green environment, it has to start from now if we want to see the results in future. So designing, conceptualizing is the main essence of it. And because the industry in which we are, the technology is very fast changing, the things are very fast moving, so the speed and responsiveness plays a very important role. So today what we design, we'll see the outcome tomorrow. And when as already mentioned by Mr. Sameep and Abhishek ji, and they're very rightly pointed out this thing that it has to be a DNA of an organization, what people thinks, the way they act, the way they respond to things. If we are talking of technology and innovation, so your innovation initiative also have to be sustainable, I would say environmental driven. So if like today, if we really talk not of our industry, but if we really talk of electric cars coming in tomorrow, once they come into the market, they are going to change every norm of the way today industry is operating. So has to be each manufacturing and technological effort. This is what I would just like to add to this.
Sure, sure. Thank you so much, ma'am. So, well, we've seen that the manufacturing sector has evolved. I would say a lot deal in the last few decades or so. Mr. Abhishek, if you'd like to tell us, how has the pandemic transformed the manufacturing sector? How has it affected it?
Yes, yes. So recently, the industrial digitalization faced its actually biggest test, you can say, confronted with the largest health and economic crisis in the recent history. So companies across the sectors were forced to take the measures to protect their people and maintain the operations also. So while some struggles with keeping the operations running in the face of the shortage of the workers, or you can say the raw materials also. So there may be the three outcomes. One is firstly is that a win for the companies that had already been scaled digital technologies. Secondly, a reality check for those who were still scaling, and thirdly, a wake-up call for those who actually haven't started their journey. Right. So recent survey shows almost you can say 90 to 94% of the respondents told that the Industry 4.0 had helped them to keep their operations running during the crisis, and out of that, almost more than 50% said that these technologies had been critical to their crisis response. So there is a clear win for early adopters, right? So companies that had scaled Industry 4.0 use cases prior to the COVID-19 found themselves better positioned to respond to this crisis, right? So just giving some example for this better understanding. So a consumer pack product in the Asia built a digital twin for its supply chain before COVID-19. It was able to use to run the multiple scenarios during the pandemic. So preparing themselves for the sudden shutdowns of the manufacturing locations or the disruptions in raw material supply. So similarly, on the other side of the globe, One PP manufacturer in North America, in the process of increasing their capacity by installing a new manufacturing line, was able to commission the line using the AR and VR. Right. So companies whose Industry 4.0 implementation is more mature report stronger ability to respond to this crisis. By witnessing this fact, the industry leaders started to adopt the new technology to overcome this pandemic impacts. So there is a complete shift of strategy. It's nothing but reshaping this entire scenario. With the spread of this pandemic, almost all the regions have implemented lockdowns, shutting down the activities that require human gathering and the interactions. So the lockdown has resulted in the most people taking to the internet and internet-based services to communicate, right? So to continue with the job responsibilities they have started the responsibility from the home instead of office. So internet services have been raises in usage from the 40-30% level to 100%. So the transformation technologies, actually few levers that I already mentioned, the use of the clouds, the IoT devices, the blockchains, AI, and machine learning, those will come by seeing their benefits. So these constitute a bulk of the what is being adopted by the organization as a part of their transformation effort. They understand the importance of utilizing the digital levers so that they can sustain in future. The manufacturing sector will greatly benefit from this continuous adoption of advanced technologies. Many fear the implementation of these developments on job opportunities, but I firmly believe the industry has so much to gain from this AI and IoT, and in fact, they will increase the number of the manufacturing jobs also that are available. Ultimately, it provides a win-win scenario for both. So that's all from my side.
Right, sir. Right. Thank you. Thank you. So, Mr. Sameep, how do you see the pandemic transforming the manufacturing sector and reshaping it?
Um, Two things predominantly that I've seen. One is I think because the initial days of the pandemic, and I think hopefully we are out of it now to large extent. There was because of all this lockdown, shutdown, less operation, less people availability. The first thing that happened, and everybody's focus was whenever it opens up, okay, we do more with less, okay, because you had to cover up all this. Like when the first time the pandemic happened and people lost 4 months, everybody wanted to finish everything that they could not do in 4 months in the balance 8 months to meet their goals, right? So the first thing that happens is how can we do more with less? I think that's how we started our single line at RPG, that look at everything and everything possible, that how we can do more with less. Now that means not just digital, it means automation, technology, mechanization, everything possible, right? But with a single mantra saying, do more with less. The second thing is because the pandemic hit us and caught us completely off guard, the lot of transparency and visibility that we had was very broken. Okay, everybody has a visibility which was okay. I have a visibility of my manufacturing because of the ERP that I use, the SAP that I use. The procurement guys would say that I have my visibility because of the vendor portal that I have, whatever. And similarly, I think go-to-market people, they will have, if they have, their own visibility of what is the inventory, what is the distribution, etc. Now, because of the pandemic, it became a need to have it more integrated view because there was a lot of dependency. While you are procuring from somewhere, you're selling somewhere else. And depending on where the pandemic is, the entire supply chain can be broken because one end is broken, right? And hence this integrated view became more and more important. Second is also the visibility in terms of what is the risk that you're sitting on. Okay, what is your ability to a simple question is can you run a plant for next 2 weeks? Okay, it boiled down to that, right? Can you run a plant for next 1 month because of people, because of raw material, because of every other possible factor that we were never aware of? Now that became so important that people started looking, saying that at least in RPG we said that for all our businesses we want to get into having a short-term and a long-term view into what is the risk that we are sitting on. And that then gave rise to many digital ideas and projects, whether it is a traceability track, etc. But these are the two important things that I see is the way we look at the business has changed. One is do more with less, and second is this entire visibility and integrated transparency to operations.
Right, sir. Right. But it really was unprecedented, and we still don't know, what lies ahead of us. So, Ms. Charu, I wanted to understand from you, how is the manufacturing industry preparing for this, for the inevitable, probably, or the unpredictable changes that we might experience, and what are the key trends and growth strategies that you have charted?
So what we actually say that every, I would say, calamity or every anything which is unlike our desire brings in some new change and innovation. And so we have seen also in this pandemic. And when we are talking of how manufacturing is preparing itself for these kind of calamities, or I would say unprecedentable changes, we actually need to understand that from where it is coming from. Now, when we were talking of Industry 4.0 or Industry 4.5, where we talk of personalization, with every change, and when we are standing today on a area where we are talking of personalization, so I would say the entire industry is moving towards more on this. So now is the area of personalization where industry is evolving to cater individual needs and not just mass production. We are actually managing economies but also leveraging the advantage of customization and personalization. Now, so today, if you really talk of manufacturing, it is not an isolation just producing and what we are selling. It is more about connecting with customer demands, their preferences, likes and dislikes. So if I really talk of the coming trends, I would believe that camera vision is actually going to play a very important role and will bring big revolution in this area. Not only just defect detection, surveillance, safety, but sentiment analysis and much more that this camera vision is going to build. And this camera vision will be built over analytics. So big data analytics will play a big role today because we have all data across, and now we need to work towards utilizing this data and bringing it into much more information, not just information per se for decision making, but also for innovation. So, mapping with customer expectations, changing the way products are being manufactured and sold, both will actually go through, I would say, 360-degree of change. So, mapping these expectations and delivering what customer needs will become the need of an hour. Moreover, what I believe digital supply chain management will become very, very important because now we are talking of time and utilization of resources in a much swifter manner. Logistics transaction has actually gone through a revolutionary change. Today, we are no more dependent upon one transporter, but there are so many aggregators that have actually come up and leveraging technology. So today, even if you really look at technology per se is not just manufacturing or technology. Today, all I would say functions are becoming technological savvy. So you have today a delivery partner who is actually using digital platform to transform the way goods are supplied from one place to another. Today, you have a technology platform which basically talks of just supply chain management and replenishment management. Today, you have a technology partner where you basically use that technology to actually execute your transaction. So technology will become the platform, and on those things you will start building up your manufacturing capability end to end, right from integration of raw material coming in and to the supplies.
Right, right, right. Thank you. Very pertinent insights, ma'am. Would Mr. Sameep or Mr. Abhishek want to add something to this? The key trends and growth strategies?
No, I think she's covered it well. So nothing.
Okay, okay, perfect. Not a problem, sir. So moving ahead, I'll open this question to all my panelists. And what solutions are manufacturers embracing to adapt and respond to the new regulations and norms easily? So, Mr. Chakrabarti, if you can begin with you. If you'd like to take this
Yes,
question.
definitely. Actually, if you Yeah, definitely. Actually, if you've seen after pandemic, there are lots of things has been implemented. It is not implemented; it is imposed. The government wants that there should be distance to be maintained, there should be touchless process and all. So we are actually give very good force from the government and the other entity. You have to implement something so that everything will be paperless. So right from the last 2 years, we are implementing numbers of processes, numbers of technology that we have implemented, which makes the things very easy for everyone. Now the people are coming. There is no biometric attendance and all. By the way, the help of facial recognition, it will be identified who is coming. It is also measuring, that camera vision is measuring the all the locations, that whether you're maintaining the distance or not. We have corrected workforce also that we have implemented. You come to know the each and every employees or the visitors or anyone inside the plant premises who are where, and at where they are going. With the help of the technology, you are coming to understand that they are going to any restricted place or not. So those are the very, very important things that have been implemented after this rules has been imposed. So that is I think like this many things we are also doing. Suppose in this camera vision, numbers of computer vision machine learning based solution also implemented. These will give you the status of the health of the employees. Even those of people are working in the remote locations, we are also tracking their behaviors also. So with the change of the scenario, those things are actually contributed a lot. So that's all from my end.
Right, right, right. Mr. Samip, if you want to say something about this.
See, I think I have seen in our case the efforts are on the full spectrum from left to right. So what I mean is on the left hand side where there are technological innovations, improvement, whatever you may want to call, is happening at a local machine level or a process level, which is critical, to a full-blown future factory, which is actually preparing the smart manufacturing hub itself. And we are doing, I think, both ends of the spectrum. Now, on the left-hand side, the beauty is that these are faster, quicker. You get to fix what is here and now. And as I said, it results into immediate benefit that you can see, whether in terms of, like, for example, in one of our mills where there are rollers, we implemented a solution which when the person is putting his hand in the mill, if the hand goes close to a roller to some distance, the roller automatically starts rotating in the reverse direction. Now that ensures that you will never get your hand caught into the mill, right? Because it is a standard problem in the tire industry where there are, or whichever industry which has rotating parts of the mill. There are a number of such examples, I think, that we've seen where these kind of solutions, because once people understand how the technology can be used. Another example I can give is in our, we manufacture the gas meter. And most likely, if you see your own gas meter, it will be from Rekim RPG. When the gas meter is completely mechanical indexing, right? And we used to ship these meters, which are the reading, which is either 4 or 5, because once it is tested with air, it was very difficult for a mechanical meter to exactly stop at 000, right? So by the time the operator is looking at it, whether the extra air is gone, and by the time he will shut it off, it will go and remain at 4. Now that became a norm and industry started accepting it. But if it goes beyond certain reading, then we had to open it, and because it's a mechanical indexing, we have to reset it to 0. It means then we have to pass the air again, and anything that he opens again for such a complex product, which is every component in it is very high tolerance, it kills a lot of rework and a lot of time. Now we've got a simple computer vision based integrated to PLC, and it actually looks at 000, it cuts off the air supply. Now, instead of 12 people, there are 3 people who are doing this job. So it's not just about reduction in the people. That's never a motive, according to, at least we at RPG believe that digital is not to replace people, but to augment people. But more important, it's such a high fatigue job, somebody to keep looking at those 12 meters at a time, where is 0 happening, and living in that pressure, saying that if it goes beyond this, then there is a rework, then there is this, is getting taken care by technology. So I think a lot of this individualistic project to the second spectrum, where the future factors, and the third aspect, which we are doing, in fact, 2 more. The third is about this entire smart product that I spoke about. We're looking at every product that we manufacture, how we get into the smart part of it. We've delivered some of them. I cannot talk some of the details on this forum. And the fourth aspect that we look at is how do we make lives of our people in the field, okay, not in the offices that you and me we say, but in the field, make it more simpler, easier, and error proof. Right, there's a lot of role of whether it's an AR, VR. Like for example, during the pandemic, we started a new factory in Chennai, and a lot of installations we did not wait for the pandemic to get over. A lot of complex installation were done using AR, VR, and the experts were sitting in some part of the country. We were doing full installation. So this there is a product side, There is a field side where we want to take care of people from their safety point of view, from efficiency point of view. We have a tea and plantation business. We are doing a lot of trials on drones and satellite images to look at the disease prediction, to look at the shoot development. When do you trim the tea so that the quality is high, the valuation is high? To the process and side, which itself has two spectrums, saying that one you do it at a machine level to something which is at a much larger factory level. So, but the most important aspect in all of this that we have realized and started taking effort, I think before pandemic, that helped us is focusing on our people. And I think RPG as a group is known for people. We've taken care of people not just from the pandemic and the personal issues, but also looking at their growth. And that is the reason why the DPL that I spoke about earlier, even before that, we had a version which was Digital Academy. So we tell people it's not just about what it adds to the factory or the business, it is about what it adds to you as a person, whether you work in RPG, whether you go out. But if you are a digitally enabled person, you'll be able to do your job much better, whether you do it here or somewhere outside. So a lot of focus on enabling people, which helps us drive digital at scale, but it also helps individual to take his level to the next by understanding digital. So that's how I think changes that we have seen.
Right, right. Thank you, sir. Ms. Charu, your thoughts, please.
So, if you really look at what changes and adaptation, so the entire industry has actually changed a lot. If you really look at food, just food delivery, so it never before pandemic popped up that is the person vaccinated or not. So you just not need to maintain and adopt technology, but also change because of the environment. We never thought that for 3 months almost there will be a stop, hard stop to everything globally. So if you really look, when we reopened, and every organization needs to, and especially the manufacturing, which is not an essential products, actually have to function and come up to make up the gap, and also grow. So the working environment actually have changed, I would say, to a very very large extent. Not only efficiency, but also the way technology can promote ease for not only just employees but also for the customers, because customers are important. Not even just the economy opening up, there was hesitant for the customer to move to the market and make a purchase. That was restricted. So as an organization, we have really evolved with technology. Not only this, the service sector, the, I would say, back office with technology has done a lot of improvement. So if you really look at each functional area in an organization, actually has changed drastically, because they need to perform and outperform because of whatever the due to pandemic we have suffered. So each aspect of business actually has evolved with technology applications. What Abhishek ji was talking about attendance, so there is hardly any biometrics attendance that's actually moving because of the distancing and contactless and all those things. Now facial attendance has become a norm. You actually, with not only this, work from home has started, at least for the corporates, for the IT sector. So you also need to track the person, whether it is in the field or in the office or at home or from the location from they are saying. So the working norms overhaul have changed, and people as industry leaders, the entire industry has to respond to that.
Right, right. Thank you, ma'am. So, I have three diverse representatives from the diverse segments here. How do you, with this experience of the pandemic and the changes and the technological advancements that are there, how do you foresee the roadmap for your respective sectors? So, beginning from Mr. Abhishek. Sir?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, to be very frank, after affecting that during this pandemic, we have a very clear roadmap. We have give a very clear digital twin system to the management, and we are working very hard for this so that everyone can take the decision 6 months before. You have a very clear idea what is you required after 6 months, and based on that what you require, you just to go for this from now only, so that any impact then and there nothing should be happen. So you have to plan properly. For that we are giving the entire visibility to each and every department. Yes, if you want to produce this, then these are the raw material that is required. For that you have to place the order for now or when. Like that, now we are preparing one digital twin system which will guide the people to take action today only, so that it will not hamper anything in future. So this is a very clear thing that we are doing. And secondly, we are doing this paperless type of things, so that the dependency on paper and all those can be reduced, and the closing. So these are the things that are going on. Those are the roadmaps that we are very clear in our mind.
Right, right. Thank you, thank you. Mr. Sami?
So if you ask the industry, generally manufacturing as an industry, I think the smart product, everybody, if they're not working on it, they'll be working on it. I think that's not going to be. It's not a question of should we do it or not. It's a question of are you doing it or not, and everybody will be forced to do it because the consumer will start expecting it. So that's first change that will happen in the sector. The second thing, I think, the people who are closer to the machine, okay, there would be there's a lot of focus by CII and ASCOM that I'm working with also in some of their bodies to look at how this entire digital manufacturing goes closer to the MSMEs and SMEs. Because today, while we are sitting in a large corporate, the true digital transformation for India would happen when it happens to the SME level, okay, and MSME level, not just a corporate level. So I think this entire, so today, all your suppliers who are possibly not as digital savvy, the digital will reach to them either through you or through the external world or through these medias like NASCOM, CI, which are trying to do a lot of efforts there. So you will see a lot of change which is happening there. And I think this will fuel our entire aim of 25% GDP by 2025 coming from manufacturing will become possible because of digital, because the manufacturing would fuel different growth because of this. So that's second thing that will happen. Third is, I think, from an education wise, there should be, as per me, a lot of change in the way that we are preparing our engineers, the way that we are preparing our ITI people. So I remember when I did my engineering, the ITI always used to have this courses for electricians and plumbers, and which are very operator specific, that you become a specialized in one area. And I won't, and maybe something is already happening there. I won't be surprised that if they find out people who understand the IoT, okay, because IoT is nothing but what goes as a sensor on the machine, and how many people understand how that device works, okay, because the person who's close to that machine needs to understand that. While the management may decides and the digital team may go and kind of do the digital factory project, and but unless those operator who are ITI people or diploma people or engineer nowadays, unless their understanding of digital is good enough, it'll become very difficult to maintain those things. So I think a lot of transformation should and would be happening. I won't be surprised if it's already happening in the education field to the people which are closest to the machine on the shop floor.
Right, right. Very, very aptly said, sir. Very aptly said. Ms. Charu, your views, please.
So if you really look, we are from a consumer-facing industry. So Sheila Foam, I would say flagship brand is Sleepwell, which actually manufactures mattresses and furniture cushioning. And with this pandemic, people have realized the importance of health. And if you really look at, we all individuals spend almost one third of our life on mattresses, sleeping and building our immunity. So with pandemic, one, I would say, blessing in disguise has been that people have realized the importance of it. But all said that, you still need to respond to the changing needs. So if you really look at things, the way industry is going to move today, customers are with pandemic getting over, and we are moving towards endemic, hopefully. So people have started going to the market, but still they want that convenience of home. So you need, industry has to respond with changing customer needs. So if I want, and this is a bulky product I am talking about, so if you want customer to experience that, you need to create technology platforms where customers can have the experience of shopping within their home. So that is the direction that we as an industry are moving towards. So if you really provide them platforms where they can experience the kind of home that they want, the kind of products that they want, the kind of furniture that they want through AR VR inside the houses, if they can see the three-dimensional images, select the product on a drag and drop platform, have convenience. And in India, we actually, if we don't are not from the industry, for us a standard bed is a standard bed, but trust me, we have more than hundreds of sizes because we customize our bed. Measuring them for each customer, this is basically a standard one. But for when you are making it, it's not a standard one. You need to know correct measurements. Customers need to understand. So you need applications to measure right dimensions. So camera visions is playing an important role. Moreover, analytics, decisions and products based on and these analytics and customer data points is the trend where we are moving towards if we really want to grow in a very nice way and in a, I would say, fruitful for the customers also. This is the direction that we plan to take.
Right, right. Wonderful. I think, the future looks very exciting, and technology definitely has transformed and will definitely be, be transforming more, not just manufacturing, but all across. And we hope, the future brings about happy changes for all of us. So thank you to all my panelists, for their wonderful in-depth insights and for your time and your presence being here. Please accept a small token of gratitude from our end. Can I ask Mr. Sameep Mutha, thank you so much for your presence and your time, sir. It was wonderful listening to you. Thank you so much. Ms. Charu Bhargava, thank you so much, ma'am. It was wonderful listening to your insights during this session. And Mr. Abhishek Chakravarti, thank you so much, sir, for your presence and your insights that you shared today. Thank you so much, and thank you to all my panelists for being here in the summit. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot.